I asked a couple of filmmakers that I admire to give me their advice and share it with you guys. And hopefully, you guys can learn something because these guys are incredible, they're amazing. And I genuinely think that you're going to love a bit of this episode.
Hey, what's up? My name is Justin Betancourt, and I'm a filmmaker based in Houston, Texas. And I think if I were to give someone some advice that was wanting to get into filmmaking, it would be just to keep shooting. Shoot as much as you possibly can. Write your films, get out there, keep doing it, keep learning. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. So the first one's probably not going to be that great. Second one's going to be a little better. Third one's going to be a little better. So just get out there and keep doing it and keep trying to learn. The second thing that I think I would tell someone, it's more along the realm of writing rather than just like a general get out there and shoot, but it's write without any hesitation. So when I was first trying to figure out how to write scripts, I didn't really know like how to do it. And I would sit down and I would tell myself, okay, I got to come up with this idea that no one's ever heard of, that's super unique, that like I can just, somehow magically make this script appear. And I was kind of getting in my own way by doing that. Whereas now, whenever I sit down to write, I just write it. Whatever pops in my head, even if it's the most cliche sounding idea, I just write it down. And if I see a scene in my head, I write it down. And I just keep writing without even thinking about it and not overthinking. How am I going to shoot this? It's going to be too expensive. I don't have access to this location. It doesn't matter. Just write it down. And then when you're done writing everything and you're done getting all your bullet points, then you can go back and you can fix things, you can change locations, you can figure out how you're going to shoot this for cheaper or whatever the problem may be, you can figure it out later. But just write without hesitation, and I guarantee you that before you know it, you'll have an amazing script ready to shoot.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Isaac Joel, and I'm a local filmmaker and photographer right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Today, I want to share some advice for young filmmakers getting ready to start their careers. My advice would be no advice. I know that might sound confusing or even contradictory, but stay with me for a second. A lot of people are going to come up to you and say, that's not how you write a story, or that's not how you're supposed to shoot a movie. And they'll tell you, you need to learn all the rules before you can go off and break them. And sure, there's some truth in that, of course. But here's what really matters: your voice, your vision, your instincts. More than likely, you're pursuing filmmaking because there's something deep inside you that says, oh, I know characters. I know good storytelling. I have a vision that I want people to experience. That's a passion you need to stay connected with. Understand what inspires you about the films you love. And above all else, trust your gut, trust your heart, trust your soul. Because when you're on set, people are going to be looking at you for answers. Where should I be standing? What's my motivation? What are we doing next? All of this is going to come up, and you will have to make a million decisions in a split second. That's a lot of pressure. And honestly, not everyone can handle that amount of pressure. People will criticize your work. It's inevitable. They'll say it should have been done differently, that it doesn't make any sense, that it's not even marketable. But listen, you're not going to please everyone, and that's okay. Not everyone will understand your story. Not everyone will connect with you or the points that you're trying to make. But if you believe in it, if you stand by your story, then honestly, everything's going to be okay. A lot of people in your life might try to tear you down. They'll tell you, you're not good enough. You need more experience. You should write and shoot a lot more. And maybe some of that is true. But again, at the end of the day, it's confidence. You have to believe in yourself. If you truly love filmmaking, if you know your vision, then I say go for it. 100%. Don't let anyone stop you. I personally went to film school for directing, producing, and screenwriting. And I can confidently say everything I truly learned came from the movies. I have a massive collection of physical DVDs, and those stories became my homework, my school, my mentor. I learned from the greatest directors of all time because I'm a fan first. I don't see myself as better than anyone. I'm not the director who has all the answers and knows it all. No, I'm a member of the audience. I'm someone who wants to feel something when I watch a story unfold for the first time on the big screen. And sometimes I write a script I believe in deeply and I'll pitch it and people tell me, oh, you're going to need $100,000 and you're going to need financing. You need distributors. This movie will never get made. And you know what I say? I'm going to go make it. I'll write it. I'll direct it. I'll shoot it. I'll edit it. I'll finance it. That way the responsibility is fully mine. If the movie's bad, that's on me. And I'm okay with that because it gives me this sense of freedom to create something that's entirely mine. And that to me is what filmmaking is all about.
Hey there, my name is Emilio Miguel Torres. I am a director in Phoenix, Arizona. Andrew asked me to record a quick video for you guys, sharing what my advice would be for a young filmmaker or maybe someone who's just getting into this hobby slash craft slash career slash industry. My overall advice is pretty generic and it won't seem very clever at all, but it's just very true. And then I will give a piece of advice that I think sort of can help you elevate beyond that initial first step. But if you're just getting started, if you want to be a filmmaker, you have to make film. There's lots of people I know who want to be filmmakers. They tell me that they want to be filmmakers. They want to make short films. They want to make YouTube videos. They want to make, social media content. And that's all great. And I, encourage everybody to go into this craft if that's what makes them passionate. But so many people don't even get started because they convince themselves that they don't have the right equipment to get started. They convince themselves that they're not going to be as good as the other people who are posting work online, or they convince themselves that their friends or their community is going to make fun of them for their stuff. You really cannot pursue this craft and have that mindset. You just have to make stuff, put it out there, move on to the next thing. I have always just made films, and the film that got me into NYU Film School is not a film I'm proud of, but at that time it's what I had to make, and I've just kept going and going, and every project's gotten better and better, and now I'm on the festival circuit with my first independent feature film, and it always came from an energy of I just need to make film. So get started as soon as possible. You have a phone in your pocket, just get started, start posting it. It's gonna suck because you're never good at any craft until you're good at it. And you live in a time where you can learn anything you want about cameras, iPhone filmmaking, editing, how to use free software to make short films. Like, there are millions of videos out there that teach you how to do this stuff. And so given that landscape, there's no excuse why you shouldn't just get started right away making stuff, honing your craft, learning what you enjoy making, and learning how you enjoy making it. Now, that's just the general piece of advice to encourage you to keep going forward and making stuff. But the next piece of advice is, okay, now you know how to make a film. Like, what do you do to elevate yourself? How do you take yourself from being a hobbyist filmmaker or someone who just makes cool edits on TikTok and get to a place where you can really feel confident calling yourself a filmmaker, especially if you want to work with actors and narrative filmmaking as I do. And honestly, my biggest piece of advice for how you can elevate yourself as a narrative film director is to create circumstances where you are forced to either collaborate with people in person or watch how other people collaborate in person. So the obvious easiest way to do that would be if you can find a friend of a friend or someone in your community who's working on a film set, and if you can be on set just to shadow. You want to see how actually people on set are communicating, how they solve problems. When you're actually on set, and especially when you're working with a team, with a budget, with a schedule, there's a lot of pressure to make decisions quickly, to know how to communicate with people, how to get things done. And when you're just making movies with your friends on the weekend with your camera, you're not really learning that skill. So get on set, learn from others. Actually, a huge recommendation I have is to get involved with community theater. Doesn't matter where you are in the country, chances are there's a local community theater. They're doing musicals or plays, and they probably need volunteers to work on the crew or to maybe be an assistant to a director, or they might be looking for actors. And actually, I think if you want to be a director, it's very good for you to put yourself in a situation where you're an actor, because you can learn, oh, this is how an actor feels when they get this type of note, or this is, I'm acting right now, I wish someone would communicate something to me in this way. Oh, now I know how to do that. take an acting class, take an improv class. Just force yourself into an in-person situation where you have to be vulnerable and communicate with another person and solve creative problems together. Because filmmaking is a collaborative art form, and directing, whether it's a small crew or a big crew, you have multiple people who need you to be very clear in your communication, to be able to collaborate with them well, and to give notes that actually land and work. Now, what if you can't get on set, you can't do theater? Like, honestly, just do something in person that allows you to be vulnerable, communicate with others, and you're gonna make mistakes, and it's gonna be awkward, and it's gonna be very scary, but that's the only way you can learn and the only way you can grow. And ultimately, being able to be an effective communicator, an effective leader, and an effective collaborator is what is going to stand out in a world where a cinema camera is super affordable, and AI and YouTube makes it so that anybody can edit a film that looks pretty decent. The on-set work is going to be where you stand out. Well, that's my advice. Thanks, Andrew, for having me hop on. I hope this works. Have a nice day.
You know, the core philosophy of a filmmaker is to just do. And I think that's like the biggest lesson that I can give to anyone is to just do. You know, something else that I would say is like massive is the ability to leverage you as a person, as a filmmaker, because in this crazy, ever evolving world that we're in, we are living in a world of everyone is trying to be a filmmaker. Everyone's, you know, especially with AI, it is crazy. So a core principle that I would say if you're going to begin filmmaking is begin to learn your style. Begin to incorporate something that you can leverage outside of just being a good film director. Because the core principle of what a good film director is it's an individual that is able to tell their story and connect their story to whatever they're doing. That's why you see directors pass on films, because they say, I just didn't connect with it. So in order for you to connect with the films that you create, you need to establish your own personal voice. You hear all the time about artists finding themselves, and you truly never find yourself when it comes to being an artist. You'll never find yourself. That's just part of the process. I think loving the process is also really important. You want to fall in love with the process of being a filmmaker, because the work absolutely never stops. The work will never stop. You will always be directing. Look at Martin Scorsese. He's like, I don't even know, like 60, 70, and he's still directing. He's still making these incredible films on Apple or wherever he's at currently. And you see that his craft has never shifted. And I think that's really important when it comes to being, you know, a filmmaker, is that you're consistent with your craft. So it's the consistency, it's knowing that the work is always never done. I think any successful entrepreneur will tell you that the work is never done. You are always working for something bigger. You are always climbing for something bigger. And I just think that's kind of really important. Again, I've been holding off on this particular video because I just haven't had time to film it. And it's funny, fate would have it, the person that I asked to be in the video is going to San Antonio with me. Not with me, but just so happened to be in it. And I ran into him. We had a great chat about film. Hello. And it was just like, why wait? Why do I have to wait for for me to finish, come home? Because I don't know when that is. I'm working so often. I'm not going to be home for like a month because I'll be traveling and filming and all that stuff. So I thought, you know what? I have this really cool vlog camera. You know, I think it's more about the content rather than the studio setup. So